Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is Chris in Central Pennsylvania. Mkhonto Wesizwe Party spokesman Nlamulu Nlela confirmed this week that 67-year-old former Springbok and Sables head coach and ex-Good Party member Peter de Villiers has joined Jacob Zuma's Mkhonto Wesizwe Party. De Villiers was officially welcomed to the party by impeached former judge and current MK deputy president John Schlope at a ceremony this week.
Comrade Peter de Villiers, good afternoon, sir, and welcome, my brother, to Mkhonto Party.
Now, Schlope praised de Villiers' leadership abilities, saying the following: "On behalf of the MK party, we're excited to have such a distinguished person like Peter de Villiers. I have no doubt you're going to add immense value to our party as the local elections are around the corner. I can only say that the time to talk is over. It's time for us to act decisively and bring back dignity to our people." Our people? Who exactly does Schlope mean? All 63 million South Africans? Now, it's an important question, as in South Africa, many political parties speak only of one group or another when making that statement, rather than all South Africans. De Villiers was interviewed on the Moya broadcast on YouTube, where he shared his excitement in joining MK. Now, before continuing, I will state that this is a very odd pairing. De Villiers clearly has a chip on his shoulder about race, and joining a nearly entirely black-based political party focused on race hustling and black ascendancy seems at odds with his public persona for colored folks. This is what de Villiers had to say. "It took me a long time. I had to investigate them and my principles and how we can change the lives of people by serving." Now, that seems like a reasonable statement and prudent judgment, no? To us, it's not about positions, it's about serving the people to the best of our abilities. And that's why I found a new home. If one is welcome the way I was, I think I'm in the right place. Well, folks, that's a bit disingenuous, isn't it? He found a new home because he had to. The Good Party booted him out last year. If he wants to be active in South African politics, he needed a new home. Ideology had little to do with his decision. "I will focus on the dignity of our people that has been stolen. People don't want money. They don't want jobs. They want recognition. And if we go to the people and ask them to tell us what we must fight for, then we know what we are fighting for, of our people." Once again, does he mean all South Africans, or is he focusing on just colored South Africans? Now, both are appropriate here, but here's the thing. The dignity of our people has been stolen. Who's he talking about? The poor, the oppressed, blacks, whites, browns, coloreds? Who's he talking about? Whose dignity has been stolen? Given the near total absence of colored South Africans in the MK party, his arrival has raised a few eyebrows, to which de Villiers had the following to say: "We tend to put people in boxes. I don't think it's about color because the color of our hearts is the same." Well, he is correct. And he is also correct that some folks like to put others in boxes, kind of like his past statements have done to white South Africans. In March 2024, the Good Party fired de Villiers following allegations of sexual misconduct. The National Prosecuting Authority further confirmed that he was criminally charged with 2 counts of sexual assault and a count of criminal injury. Good Party Secretary General Brett Herron confirmed this suspension with the following: "Good has summarily suspended Peter de Villiers from all party activities after receiving a complaint of sexual misconduct from a party member. Good's constitution is unambiguous on gender relations and gender-based violence. The constitution applies to all members regardless of position." In November 2021, Good had won 4 seats in the Drakensberg local municipality in South Africa's municipal elections. But de Villiers resigned from his position in the council to spend time with his family following his wife's death in April of 2022, which is understandable. He did remain a member in good standing, was nominated to return to the council in January the following year, 2023. 5 months later, it was announced that de Villiers was taking the party's vacant seat in the Western Cape Parliament, where he remained until he was kicked out in 2024. Now, Peter de Villiers also has a habit of his mouth getting him into trouble. In June 2009, shortly after the first test between the Springboks and British and Irish Lions at Loftus Versfeld, he was quoted as saying, "What I've learned in South Africa is that if you take your car to a garage where the owner is a black man and he messes up, then you'll never go back to that garage again. But if the owner's a white man, you say, he made a mistake, and you go back." In response, South African Minister of Sport at the time, Mackenzie Stofile, told de Villiers to keep his mouth shut and to sober up. But perhaps the thing that most harmed his relationship with Springboks fans was his foolish announcement just prior to the 2019 Rugby World Cup tournament in Japan that he would no longer be supporting the Springboks rugby team because of the inclusion of popular lock Eben Etzebeth. Now, in case you have forgotten what happened, Ebenezer was falsely accused of racism, and like so many prominent South Africans, de Villiers naturally assumed the charge to be true, regardless of the merit of the baseless accusation. Does Hank's Old Irish Pub come to mind? But Peter de Villiers' rash rush to judgment in the media boomeranged back on him. Bokke Nation had had enough of Peter in his mouth. Genoeg is genoeg. Now, opinions of de Villiers took a further nosedive when popular Zimbabwe-born Springbok prop Tendai the Beast Mtawarira, Beast, when his autobiography was released on the eve of the Rugby World Cup final, just a day before it occurred. Mtawarira is one former player who has not held back on his criticism of de Villiers as a coach. Among his negative comments about de Villiers in his autobiography, the Beast took exception to his coaching style. His methods and approach didn't really work with the Springboks, and as players, we had to be careful what we said to the media. What you said would get back to Peter and affect your place in the team. The media did not like Peter and thought he was a bit of a clown. There's no doubt that he was happy to be at the forefront of a team that could operate on its own steam. Most of the work was done by the players, with assistant coaches Dick Muir and Gary Gold very influential. Ouch. He was a fantastic coach of the junior Springboks, but I think at the high level, he was probably lucky that he had a very good group of players handed over to him. That's what he wrote in his book. Now, what we're talking about is Peter de Villiers inherited a world champion team from Jake White with very talented Springboks, legendary players like Victor Matfield, Farid de Prier, Skalk Berger, John Smith, Bakis Botha, Danny Russo, Jean de Villiers, Jacques Farid, Brian Habana, and J.P. Peterson, all still on the roster. Now, in spite of his off-field missteps and the Beast's comments about his coaching style, de Villiers' record as a Springbok coach was respectable. The Springboks won 30 of their 48 matches under his tutelage. That 62.5% win percentage includes a 47% win percentage against the mighty All Blacks, having played them 11 times and winning 5 of those matches. That's a far better record than most Springbok coaches against the All Blacks in the modern era. De Villiers was hired by Zimbabwe to coach their national side, the Sables, on a 2-year contract in February of 2018 for a reported $6,000 per month. That's a bit of a come down. On the hiring, de Villiers made this strange statement that speaks volumes about either his confidence or lack of confidence in his own coaching abilities. He had this to say: "This is the greatest day of my life for one reason only, because people believe in me." Well, didn't someone believe enough in you to hire you to coach the greatest national side in rugby history, the world champion Springboks? Someone must have believed in you then. Or are you intimating that you were hired for another reason? Now, his primary task was to get the Sables back to the Rugby World Cup for the first time since 1991. Zimbabwe didn't qualify for the 2019 World Cup and were nearly relegated from Africa's top-tier competition. Consequently, de Villiers was sacked in May of 2019. Now, de Villiers' arrival in MK will turn some heads and raise a few pertinent questions. Chief among them, why? Is this about money? Does he need the job? And how will this square with MK's party's appearance of a lack of interest in colored South Africans with his own worldview? What exactly does he bring to the table? Does de Villiers have some as yet unseen political skill that the MK needs? Is MK, the new home for many ethically challenged former ANC politicians, okay with the criminal charges against de Villiers? Somehow, I think we all know the answer to that one. They don't care at all. And can de Villiers help draw colored voters? And does MK even care to draw them to the MK standard? What say you, South Africa? What are your thoughts on the arrival of Peter de Villiers in the MK party? To me, I think it's just a publicity stunt, and I think he needs a little bit of money. Maybe that's why he's doing it. At 67, Peter de Villiers shouldn't have anything he needs to prove anymore in life. The descendant of one of the earliest Huguenot settlers in the Western Cape. If you go to Franschhoek, you'll see a picture of Peter de Villiers there in the lineage that traces back to his white ancestor who founded the family in South Africa. What say you, South Africa? Cheers.